is focusing on your faith and trusting that when you ask for mentors, the right people will show up at the right time. And it's been proven to be true in my, all the way through up until my mid 30s, man. Like, and I almost feel like there's more people coming, like even faster now that I've walked this path of feeling like I've taken my biggest pain point, which is losing my dad to suicide, and I've taken my biggest love in life, which is sports, and I've merged them to create my calling, which I want to turn into my career.
There is something special inside you.
Welcome to GNG Podcast with your host, speaker, best-selling author, Chaz Jackson.
What's going on, kings and queens? It's boy Chaz Jackson coming back to you once again, representing GNG Gift and a Gift. Hey, I personally just want to take the time to tell each and every one of you, thank you for giving me your eyes and your ears once again as we ready to dive deep into some inspiration that I pray will plant like a seed in your mind and assist you in becoming a greater version of yourselves. So you guys lock and load in. This episode is going to be great. We have my guy, Jason Holzer. He is in the building, ready to bring some value, led by the theme, why mental fitness matters. So go ahead and get your pen and paper ready. This is going to be an epic episode. I never steer you guys wrong with that. You know that we're passionate about this statement. We're all gifted differently to make a difference. I have a difference maker here to come on and share with you and Jason. Also, I know there's difference makers that's tuning in and listening right now, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, podcast platforms, what GNG podcast shows up on. I'm glad you're with us. Go ahead, consider sharing this out to anyone you feel is going to be able to resonate with this conversation as we help to grow young men in personal development and leadership through this episode. I want to go over the mission statement of this platform, and it is to encourage you as well, listener, as well as young men, to become passionate visionaries who is determined to leave a legacy for themselves by adopting unwavering life values and serving others in an area of gifting led by God. So that's the daily challenge that I'm taking. I encourage you to come alongside with me. I'm ready to get my man Jason on. I'm going to read off this short bio. We're going to get this giant on the show. Growing up in Taos, Missouri, Jason was raised in a small town with a loving family that gave him every chance to succeed. His parents were supportive and provided everything this 17-year-old could ever want. That is until his life changed forever in May 8, 2003, when his dad unexpectedly passed away by suicide, leaving him, his mother, and two younger sisters behind. Through hard work, dedication, and a strong faith in God, he is now a certified teacher, thought coach, and accomplished basketball coach. He is also a post-traumatic growth storyteller and the co-founder of 40 Athlete. His story, shattered by suicide, renewed by resilience, how to move forward after being left behind, is an Amazon bestseller, and he is positively influencing thousands of readers every year through this message in this book. And I'm excited to have him on this GNG podcast episode with each and every one of you. Jason, are you ready to get it?
Yes, sir, Chaz. Hey, it's the first time I've been labeled as a king before. I kind of like that, man. Kind of sound like King James for a little bit. So, I appreciate that.
Man, you are. You're definitely doing some amazing things in the mental fitness world, and just so excited to get you in front of the audience. And I would love for you to go into your story a little bit about, how did you get to where you are, being a husband, a father, man of faith, best-selling author, and just changing people's lives to grow in resiliency and just go after their dreams.
Yeah, I started with very humble beginnings. I grew up in a small town in the middle of Missouri, about 800 people, right? So my mom and dad, middle class. My dad was an electrician. My mom stayed at home with us. And I had a great upbringing, very loving family. And whenever I was a kid, though, you hit middle school, right? And you're playing sports as a kid. You don't have as many like you're not thinking about much. You're just in the moment. You're having fun. You have friends. People just love being around each other. Then middle school hits, and then you like try to figure out your identity. Right? Like things are changing. You're not sure who you are, and I actually went through like a significant bullying situation when I was 12, where I didn't even want to go to school. And I went to a small Catholic school. Right? There was only 20 kids in my grade. Right? So it was a faith-based school. And so it just goes to show you, like, just because you're in a place of faith, you still go through things, right? It doesn't protect you from things. And so I had the whole sixth grade was a tough bullying situation, and it really like hurt my self image. Like I stopped like trying at my best in sports because I didn't want to know what other people thought of me. I didn't want to like stand out because I didn't want other people to talk about me. Like it really hurt my abilities because whenever I was before that, I was playing baseball like a grade up. I was playing. I was one of the best basketball players in the area. And then by the time I got to high school, I actually ended up getting cut as a freshman because I didn't. I was so worried about what other people thought. And then I ended up like just playing rec sports after that. And in college, people were like, "Hey, what team you play?" Like in the summertime, what school you play at? And I was like, man, I really could have played if I really didn't worry about what other people think. So my first thing is like, I would tell people, you gotta like stick with what you believe and not worry about other people's opinions. And that's really tough when you're young, but if you can stand your ground and believe in yourself, then everything else falls into place.
That's so true.
And then in high school, my biggest pain point in my life was I lost my dad to suicide at 17, and I look back at that and I see where I'm at. I see where I'm now, like 18 years later, as 36-year-old. And I'm like, I'm filled with gratitude for where I am because there could be so many other places I could have been. Losing my dad was by far the hardest thing. Like he was my first coach, my first teacher. I learned work ethic from him. I learned how to treat women from him. He was a great example of giving your time back to your faith community as well, and the importance of that. And so to lose him in that way of suicide, we're like, what was so bad that you feel like this was the only way out?
Right.
Taking your own life was the only way you felt like you were going to make things better. And so, yeah, that stuck with me for a long time. And there's some things that I went through after that, just overthinking, questioning myself often. That was a byproduct, and also hurt my self-image too in some ways.
Wow, thank you for sharing your story and kind of how you got to where you are in 2021. Some of that motivation, inspiration. Maya Angelou, she popped in my head a quote that she says, "There is no greater agony than the bearing of an untold story inside of you." And gosh, your story is definitely going to capture people because I know, going through that storm of fear, anxiety, questioning things, I'm sure there was some frustration, anger, and even depression. Obviously, you went through the bullying and that occurred with your dad, and you finding a way to come out of that storm, not being a victim, but being that hero of your story. And I know you're inspiring so many young people and adults, through that unfortunate occurrence with your dad. And I know it's been a while ago, but my condolences to your family, man. I know that had been tough, man, losing your dad in such a way.
Yeah. No, thank you. And one of the things that, I feel like that God always, sends you like, messages or gives you hope. And, one of the things that I've in my spiritual life that I felt is that he's been telling me is that the darkest moments, the light shines the brightest.
Hold on, you got to say that one more time. Somebody is listening need to hear that one more time. Say that.
So, like in your darkest moments, the light shines the brightest. And so we can choose to hang in our darkness, or we can turn our flashlight on it and let these moments be a beacon of his expression of like, hey, no matter what we're going through, we can still have the faith knowing that there's something better ahead. And you may have to it may take a while. It may take 10, 15 years. And it's something that I still go through on every year, like with there's dates comes up that remind me of my dad. Like we just had family pictures, and the one person that's not there is my dad. So there's still reminders. It's not like it goes away, but you learn to accept it in a way that, hey, here's what it is. What can I do about it to make a difference in somebody else? How can I have his legacy lived on, even though he's not physically here? But I still believe spiritually he's still like with me.
Yeah, he's living through you, through your actions, through your morals and values. Like you said, he was an amazing mentor and individual to help you grow as a kid, obviously. And yeah, I truly believe those who are closest to us, our loved ones, that they're still with us in spirit and moving through us as a conduit at times. But and I know the theme of this podcast episode is why mental fitness matters. When you hear that, what comes to mind?
My good friend Jonathan Flowers always says, like, you train the mind and the body will follow. And we spend, and this is, I'm talking more from a sports perspective, but we spend so much time training our physical body, or spend so much time on, like, hey, what we're eating, what we're drinking, all that affects on physical health, that we don't train our mind. Whether we don't train our mind in a way that helps us take challenging situations and seek the gifts and opportunities within those challenging situations. We see them as like end all be all, or my life is over, or like, how in the world could this happen to me? We're asking the wrong questions, in my opinion. Because you live long enough, you're going to face challenges. You're going to face, situations where you're going to have to make some tough decisions. And seeking that guidance from God, seeking that guidance from higher intelligence, whatever your faith background is, it's gonna help you know what action to take. And too many times we just think we need to act on something, and then we end up making it worse, or we overthink, or we don't let our mind truly just help us, like, sit and listen.
Wow,
and see what are the gifts that are disguised in this challenging situation.
And I know you're a best-selling author, and you spoke about athletes. Talk about 4D athletes. What inspired that?
A lot of it was, me quitting myself as a young athlete, and then also like the mental health piece of, like, teaching young athletes at a younger age who they are and using sports to do it, because there's no better platform to teach kids about life in sports.
Wow. I also agree with that.
You're training, you're failing, you're trying to get better, you build discipline, you have a mentor. Like sports, like you can strike out and, like, hey, you're going to get another opportunity. What did you learn from it? You can miss a 3-point shot, lose a game, you're more likely you're going to get another one to play. You might get injured. Resiliency, can you come back? Right? And so for us, it was like, how can we teach people using sports to win in the game of life? Because the game of life is, life is a game, in my opinion. It's like, and if you make enough of the right choices, and if you have the intention of helping other people while you do it, then you're going to win, right? And not so much focusing on the scoreboard of sports, but focusing on the process. Who do we become in the process?
That's so true.
And then the outcomes will take care of themselves, right? We as a society in general, we're focused on, hey, did you win? Did you lose? Did you have the right house? Did you have the right car? Do you have enough money? And none of this stuff, it's like a horizon that makes us wanting more and more and more and more and more, and we're never fulfilled.
Yeah, it's like a bottomless pit, right?
It's like you never feel satisfied. And so that's why does mental fitness matter? Because you, like, getting to a place where you can be happy and successful at the same time, being full of gratitude of where you're at, knowing that where you're at is preparing you for what's next. So staying present, right?
Dude, dropping the mic, man. Randy Savage off the top rope, elbowing him, man. Dude, I love everything that you're sharing. There's so much value. Whoever's listening, I hope you took my advice, got that pen and paper. If you didn't, you can pause this bad boy, rewind it back a few minutes there, because some amazing value was given by Jason right there. And I really love how you shared, not to look at the scoreboard, but understand that it is a process. And I have to remind myself of that. I mean, he's talking to me right now, kings and queens, like to take your eyes off of what the world is showing you, and just stick with what God is showing you. Stick to your vision, taking it one step at a time. 1% equals you getting better. So I truly believe that. And Jason, I know this podcast is built around providing tips and techniques for young men as they strive towards growing in personal development and leadership. Mm-hmm. And what I would love for you to do is, if there's a tip or technique that comes to mind, as far as advice for a young man dealing with losing their parent to suicide, that potentially could be listening to us, or a parent, coach, or teacher that knows, a young man that's kind of going through those similar situations, and they're in that storm right now. Could you share something that, helped you overcome and look at it as a source of hope and not, play that victim role as many have fallen to that pit of doing?
Yeah, I focused on my faith, and when I focused on my faith, I asked God for mentors. Like, God, bring the right people in my life that are going to help me stay on the straight and narrow path. And to this day, I'm either introduced to somebody that somehow knows exactly what I need next. Whether it's just a listening ear, like just somebody that is just willing to, hey, whenever I was in high school senior year, there's a group called Young Life. There's college kids that mentor high school kids, and they share their faith with them. There's a guy that's 23 years old, right? So just a little bit ahead in life than myself, and all he did was listen to me. And he's a high school football coach now, and to this day, I'm so thankful for his willingness to he didn't have the answers. He was like, hey man, I can't promise you but what I can promise you is that I will listen.
Man, that is so important. I feel like God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right?
Right. Yeah. And he did. He never tried to give me, if I asked for it though, it was hey, if I asked for advice, he was more than happy to help, but he was more on the lines of hey, how's your day? What's going on? So my advice would be get yourself surrounded by people that know, like, and care for you, and also people that are going to want to see you do well, and that are going to check you if you're not doing things that you should be doing. That
accountability.
Yeah. Not afraid to say, hey man, that's when people care. It's not always about ice creams and roses all the time, right? It's not always going to be there's going to be things where you're going to have to have people in your life that are willing to ask you the hard questions, and that don't care if you like it or not, but they love you. And because they love you, they're going to challenge you whenever you might not be doing things that are of your best benefit. That's when people care. So that's what I think is the most important, man, is focusing on your faith and trusting that when you ask for mentors, the right people will show up at the right time. And it's been proven to be true in my, all the way through up until my mid 30s, man. I almost feel like there's more people coming even faster now that I've walked this path of feeling like I've taken my biggest pain point, which is losing my dad to suicide, and I've taken my biggest love in life, which is sports, and I've merged them to create my calling, which I want to turn into my career, which is 40 athletes, which is coaching mental fitness, which is using sports as a platform to transform and positively influence lives.
Dude, that's so much gold that you shared there, Jason. Dude, it's been an amazing episode, and so much value has been given. I know the audience is definitely filled, and I encourage whoever's listening right now to take that daily challenge of taking one thing. If you feel called to do more, that's definitely up to you. But I challenge you to take one application point, because I feel like there was multiple ones given on this episode, and take that daily challenge of applying it to your life. And if I had to pick one, I think that accountability is really, really important. What Jason just brought to us, because relationships, they can nourish you or they can drown you, right? And getting around those nourishing relationships, and we can draw the line and plug in the circumstance, situation that we're going through. Again, we're all gifted differently to make a difference, but accountability has changed my life, and having people that truly, authentically, and genuinely love me to call me out, like Jason was saying, and say, hey, I know you have more inside of you, because greatness made you. So there's greatness inside of you. And I would love to hear from you guys on what you decided to take, what challenge, what application point that was mentioned that you decided to take. But Jason, I know there's someone's listening right now. They're like, I want to learn more about 4D athletes. I want to know what's going on in your world, Roland. But share your contact information.
Sure.
Any last words of wisdom you'd like to share with the audience, and how we can get in contact with you?
Yeah. Well, there's one thing I want to add: how you build your faith. And this is something I do every morning. I start my day with prayer and reading, but then I journal a little bit. And one thing I do write down every day is like, I'm going to be positively surprised today. I focus on what I want to feel, not so much like how I'm going to feel. And I let God take care of that. So like, write down 2 or 3 things that you want to feel today. Maybe it's you want to feel joy. Maybe you want to feel excited. Maybe you want to feel confident. And when situations come up in life, you'll be amazed to see how much like that plays out. Like, I'm positively surprised today. It's so many times like I've been like a text message from a friend or like somebody I haven't heard from for a while, like send me a recommendation. I was like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen at all today. Like, that was really cool.
Yeah.
So that's one way you can practice faith is like in the morning, just journal 3 things that you want to feel today, and then watch how it unfolds throughout the day. Then that helps build your faith grow. And faith is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. So well, back to your question, how you can find me. You can find me on LinkedIn, jasonholzer.com, 4dathletes.com. And, that's where you can, and I'm also on Instagram as well, but, jasonholzer.com and 4dathletes.com are my websites. And then social media platforms, you can find me there as well.
Dude, thank you. Thank you. I truly believe in that faith aspect too. That was really key. Starting that morning off right, filling that cup so that you can go out and be the fruit of the spirit that the world needs. But man, thank you so much for being on GNG podcast. Again, this has been an amazing experience. And gosh, I truly believe in everything that you're doing, Jason. And I look forward to building our relationship and also seeing how God moves in your life so that you can help change and give hope to others as we move forward through this journey together, brother. So
yeah, well, Chaz, I appreciate you having me on. It's an honor to be on your show, man, and I hope your audience really feels enlightened and inspired after today's show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna lead us out. I want each and every one of you to stay up with GNG. More episodes coming soon. I want you to do 2 things for me. Keep that crown on your heart, and please remember this: we are God's echo. I love each and every one of you. Peace.
Thank you for listening to GNG Podcast. Remember, you are gifted differently to make a difference. Please visit ChazJacksonSpeaks.org and let's continue to grow together. God bless.